Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm Joe Concha, along with my co-host Rick Unger, Heather Hansen, and Newsmax TV contributor John Fund. Hey, do you want to know how to not pursue and publish an exclusive investigative story? Just read Columbia Journalism School report on the way Rolling Stone handled its UVA rape story sometime. As you may have heard, back in November, Rolling Stone published an article that alleged a freshman student was gang raped during a Pi Kappa Psi fraternity party in September of 2012. Apparently, fact-checking was not a top priority for the column's author, Sabrina Rudin. Early, Rolling Stone asked Steve Call, dean of Columbia's School of Journalism, to review what went wrong. His conclusion: the article was, quote, a story of journalistic failure that was avoidable, unquote. Pi Kappa Psi fraternity plans to sue the magazine, but what will Rolling Stone do? And they retracted the article. Finally, it was up online for 4 months after it was actually published. But what about firing the editor? Or firing the reporter, or firing the fact checker, or maybe the deputy editor, or firing anyone involved? Nope, not any terminations, not even a suspension. Writer Sabrina Rudin early issued a formal apology Sunday, saying reporting on rape has unique challenges, like interviewing the other side or those that are accused, but the journalist still has the responsibility to get it right. I hope that my mistakes in reporting this story do not silence the voices of victims that need to be heard. Oh, please. Not included in that was an apology, to the fraternity accused of gang rape, whom she didn't bother to even speak to, as I just said, prior to publication of the story. Not only is Rolling Stone not taking action against the editors and reporters, they're also not changing the editorial review process that led to the hit piece in the first place. By the way, that was Columbia's recommendation. What the hell are they thinking? So, Jan Wenner, is he in denial? The Washington Post certainly thinks so. And let's see if we have that. Yes, there we go. Oh, not even just denial. It is complete denial by Eric Wemple, who is one of those media writer types. So, John Fund, should Rolling Stone have done something more than simply acknowledge they messed up?
If they're a serious publication,
Which they are?
No, I actually have believed for a long time they weren't. Mm-hmm. I mean, I follow their journalism for a long time. It's pretty biased, pretty sketchy, and pretty far out there. So I think this is of a piece of their normal practices. And if they don't want to fire or suspend anyone, that's what sleazy tabloids do, not serious journalists.
Heather, accountability?
I agree with everything that you just said. Clearly they should have fired somebody. And if this case with the fraternity or other people who are out there who could sue for defamation, and there are others, if those actually get to a jury, this type of thing is the type of thing that really makes a jury angry, that there haven't been any changes pursuant to these recommendations whatsoever.
Can you bring a lawsuit in other words, Rolling Stone didn't name any particular individuals at the fraternity. They just said 7 members of. So
including some who were easily identifiable.
Okay.
Well, so, and that's a good question, though, because a huge group, fraternity members across the country couldn't sue for defamation, saying you made fraternities look bad.
But
that chapter, not even across the country, there, as John said, you've got to focus it down, narrow it down to a specific group. But she also talked about in the piece, the 3 friends that allegedly Jackie spoke to who said, well, let's not report this because then we won't be invited to frat parties anymore. Mm-hmm. She never spoke to any of those 3 friends. They may have a lawsuit as well. There's a lot of different people here who arguably could bring a case against Rolling Stone.
Do you think that no firings happened because that would be the admission of guilt? That, look, since they were fired, obviously something tangible went wrong. I know they admitted they made a mistake, but a firing is something tangible where if I'm suing, I could say, see, you're so wrong, you already fired the people that are involved with the story.
I would agree with that, Joe, if the story from Columbia wasn't so bad. I mean, they came out and said, you guys dropped the ball X, Y, and Z number of times. And then to say, well, we didn't mess up so badly we had to fire somebody, that would really be a stretch. It is something that juries, that people in general don't like. If you've made a mistake, there has to be consequences. And if the only consequence is a not so nice article, then it goes back to John's point that you must not take what you do all that seriously.
Stick to music is my advice.
Right. They stepped in this once
They've
before.
done fine with that.
Yeah, yes they have. They stepped in this 2 years ago with the Boston Bomber, and they made him look like a young, dashing Bob Dylan, and they were totally unapologetic about it, and that was their highest selling.
Yeah, it was, and that's
of the year.
That's the interesting part. It was indeed the highest selling. Look, I mean, I actually have a little more confidence in Rolling Stone than my friends here, but I very much take their point. If you simply can't be a serious journalistic enterprise and not weed out people who screw up this bad. You just have to.
I'm going for theories here because the fact that no one was fired or suspended. No, well, because we're having a conversation.
Right.
All right. Did you think that they were so in love with this narrative, right, in this exclusive, that somebody, and it has to be from the top, told all the usual filters to get out of the way, managing editor, deputy editor, fact checker, because I don't see how you fail on all of those levels unless somebody says, I want this story, make sure it happens.
If it does go to a court, you might find out the answer to that question. I'm not so sure. I think it's not that hard to believe that people just, there's almost a measure of you can't believe she would lie about this.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I
they
don't know about
maybe
that. That's a stretch.
Just
on
on
their
so many levels that this missed on. I just got to think there's something bigger here. Anyway, potluck time next. This is the Daily Wrap only on Newsmax.